in one sense. This is not even though it's the end of a course, it's actually a beginning of the journey, beginning of a spiritual journey. So, please don't think that with the course everything also ends. That's not the case. This course is just giving you an introduction to the Bhagavat Gita. It has the goal of the course is actually to help you to start on the spiritual journey. And start on the spiritual journey of self-realization, basically the process of Krishna consciousness. It is going to help you to start on the process of self-realization, God realization, and the connection that we have with the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So it's a journey, and so we invite you to not stop here to the end of the course, but become part of the larger community of devotees as part of the ISKCON Silicon Valley Temple actually. So become part of that, and we will, there are ways that you can get connected in devotional service. So the most important of all is that you have to be in the association. If you want to be on the spiritual path, it's very, very important that actually we regularly and consistently have the association of devotees. So, if there is this common understanding, right? If I know about your friends, or if I know about the group of people whom you are hanging out with, then I can actually easily tell you what you are. So similarly, association makes a very big difference. So if generally you can see the world is not. It's not a very encouraging, at least Silicon Valley, not a very encouraging place for living a spiritual. Thank you for reminding me. So it's not a very encouraging atmosphere where you can freely practice spirituality, or where you can get more time to practice spirituality. So we have to go against the current to keep ourselves in connection with other spiritual practitioners, so that the motivation, desire for continuing on the spiritual journey remains alive within our heart. So please go out of your way. Don't settle in the default mode. Don't settle in for the comfortable mode, because the default mode is to glide down away from the path of spirituality. The default mode is to go towards the path of materialism. That is the default flow of this world. So if you settle in for a default mode, then you will naturally glide down towards materialism, and you will get more and more entangled, and you will get more and more. Okay, they want me to speak on the mind. So you will get more and more entangled, and you'll ultimately, it will lead to suffering, more and more suffering, more and more reactions, and so on and so forth. So you have to go against the current. You have to not settle in for the default mode and go against the current, and go out of your way. And the best way to go against the current, the easiest and the best way to go against the current, is to regularly be in touch, associate with other spiritual practitioners. The whole lecture, the whole session, if you take this one point strongly, then the course is a success. But if you miss this point, it's most likely that after some time you'll forget about the course. You'll just go into a default mode where everything glides down towards materialism. So what is the key point?
Association.
Yeah. Keep in touch. Go out of your way. Keep in touch, and on a consistent basis. Let's say you decide, okay, I'll go to the temple once a week and be in touch with the devotees. Hear the lecture, attend the kirtan, once in a week or once in 2 weeks. If you make a commitment like that, then your spiritual journey is safe in the sense that you will be able to make progress on your spiritual journey. So take a commitment like that to be regularly in association with other spiritual practitioners or devotees. And that's the most, because even Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, he said that 90% of the advancement comes from association. So 90% of the work that we have to do, or 90% of the advancement that we have to make, all that thing comes from association. I cannot emphasize, that is the most important thing. As I said, this is the beginning of the journey. So association is the most important thing. If you don't have association, it's over. Game is over. The other point. So last week, what did you guys hear? Anybody remember? Not last week. Last week you were on Thanksgiving break. See, there is no contact. Everybody becomes blank actually. So what was the discussion 2 weeks ago?
So we discussed the different parts, like different kind of parts of the karma, like Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga.
Parts of yoga.
Yeah.
Right. So what does yoga mean?
Union.
Huge. It is actually to connect. Yoga comes from the word yush, which means to connect, to link, So it is to connect. Yoga means to connect with the divine or the Supreme Lord. That is the real core definition of yoga is to connect with the Supreme. And of course, you talked about the ladder, the yoga ladder, right? And what is the yoga ladder culminates in what? Yeah, it culminates in Bhakti Yoga. Because you can see what are the elements of Karma Yoga, if anybody remember. What are the main element or elements of Karma Yoga?
Detachment.
Little bit of detachment, but not a lot. But what is the main element of Karma Yoga?
I work for myself. Work in regulation.
Yeah. So main element of Karma Yoga, what does karma mean?
Activities.
Action. So Karma Yoga means action. You perform action, but you're detached from the results. So the main element of Karma Yoga is action. And there is some detachment from the results of the action. Now what about Jnana? What about Jnana Yoga? What does Jnana mean?
Listen to spiritual talks.
Yeah, but Jnana means knowledge. Right? So you can look at this in many ways actually. Anyway, this is one way to look at it. So Jnana, I'm telling you how it's a step-by-step process. Right? So Karma Yoga has elements of, so when you really work hard, what do you get? So let's say you just joined a company and you really work hard in the company.
Bonus.
Promotion, bonus, okay, those are the results. But what is the untold value that you get? Let's say you have many thousands of lines of code that you have to look at when you join a company. So you put in hard work to look at the code to understand. So what do you get out of the hard work?
Satisfaction.
Knowledge. You get knowledge about the code base. So you put in the hard work. You get knowledge about the code base, about the architecture, about the system, about all these things, right? So similarly, when you really put in activity without expectation of result, jnana comes as a fruit. Right? And then when one develops jnana fully or realizations fully, then that leads to next level, which is dhyana. Which is because the ultimate knowledge is that one level of knowledge is that I am not this body, I am a Atma, I am a spirit soul. But then there is also Paramatma. And then we have a connection, there is a connection between Atma and Paramatma. Right? So when that is the summum bonum of all knowledge, the crux of all knowledge is understanding about the Supreme. Then once reaches this height of knowledge, then that leads to dhyana, meditation on the Supreme. And when there is meditation on the Supreme for long periods of, a good period of time, then that leads to the awakening of bhakti. So if you have, what does bhakti mean? What does bhakti mean? Devotional activity, or in essence it's this pure love, pure devotion and love. That is what bhakti means. So if you really see, if somebody has a lot of, somebody has love for another person, can you think of an example? More pure love. Mother and child, right? Mother and child. So mother has such untinged, to a great extent, the selfless love for the child. What does the mother do? Is karma included in that? Yes. Right? Because mother has that, the pure love, karma is included. She does all the services for the child. Is jnana included in that? Yes, because she really wants to know about her child. She will go out of the way to understand what the child likes, dislikes. She wants to know about. And then dhyana is included in that?
Yes.
Yeah, the mother can be doing so many activities, but still, or the child could have gone to the school, but still the mother is thinking about the child, because that's why love is the most powerful force. And that's why bhakti is so powerful that it can encompass all the other elements of the different yoga system. Dhyana has meditation, karma has activity, jnana has knowledge, but all these things can, it's a superset. So when you develop bhakti yoga, when you develop bhakti, all the other things naturally follows. And so whatever we do, so there are different things we do in our life. There is work we do. There is family, that some of us have families, though we deal with the families, we take care of the families. Right, Srihari? Yeah. Right, Sanket? And what other activities do we do? Akash, what else do you do? Study. Okay. Sometimes we meditate, do meditation. Right? So all these different activities that we do in our life, when it is done for Krishna, it becomes bhakti yoga. Whatever we do, if you are able to connect it as an offering to the Supreme Lord, then it becomes yoga, and particularly bhakti yoga. So that's the gist of the knowledge of course. So coming to, so Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kasyud yatat siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kasyan mam eti tattataha. Out of 1,000 among men, hardly few endeavor for perfection. Okay, because most of them just want to have a very happy material life. So Krishna is saying, out of many, many thousands among men, hardly few may endeavor for spiritual perfection. And Krishna says, out of many, many thousands of people who want spiritual perfection or who are after spiritual perfection, Krishna says, hardly one knows me in truth. So knowing about Krishna and this devotional service is very rare. It's very, very rare. And so this bhakti yoga can be cultivated or revived because we all have this here in our heart. It's just right now minimized. Like how in your laptop you can minimize the window and it's running in the background. It's not very prominent, but it's still there. The process is there. It's running like that. Bhakti is there in all our hearts because we are all eternally part and parcel of Krishna. So love is there within all our hearts. It's just right now in a minimized state. It's a minimized window right now. So we can revive that bhakti that is right there within our heart by this process of A, B, C, D and E. Now we are going to teach you A, B, C, D, E. Okay? So this process of A, B, C, D, E, we can revive the bhakti that is there within our heart. So what does A stand for?
Association.
Association. 10 marks for A stands for
Association.
association. Sangha. Krishna says Sangat Sanjayate Kama. Depending on association, Sangat Sanjayate. Depending on what association you keep, that is how your desires will be formed. Sangat Sanjayate Kama. So, association is the key. We already talked about it, how association is the key. In fact, Narada Muni, what comes to your mind when you think about Narada Muni?
Bhakti.
Yeah, Bhakti. Right? Such a great devotee, right? Do you know how he became a devotee? How?
Eating food for whatever.
Yeah, association.
Yeah.
It starts with association. Just by he was a son of a maid servant. He was a very simple boy. He was not a big jnani or anything like that. But because his mother served some, big devotees, Bhaktivedanta, some great saints and devotees, he used to just help her in serving. And just by that association, just being around them, it ignited the fire of bhakti within his heart. So, and he became he is such a powerful and such a amazing devotee. But all those things started by association with very powerful saints and people. So I cannot give more emphasis. That's why I said if you learn this one point that I have, and if you take like a vow or a determination that I will associate with devotees on a regular basis, if you take that one point from the school, the course is successful. But if you miss this point, we'll have to see. So I cannot emphasize more on this point of association. So A stands for association, Sangha. B stands for it's English. Bhakti. That's what we are trying to inculcate. Books. B stands for books, transcendental spiritual books, and especially the Bhagavat Gita and Bhagavatam. So, because our intelligence requires nourishment. Like how our body requires nourishment, similarly our mind, intellect also requires nourishment. It's just that we, and especially spiritual nourishment. So the books give our intelligence and the mind the nourishment, spiritual nourishment that it requires. So by reading the Bhagavat Gita, like for example, you can take a book and then you can read at least one verse every day or one chapter every day, whatever is convenient to you. By coming in contact with this transcendental literature, our intelligence is sharpened and it is equipped with spiritual knowledge. And such an intelligence will become an aid for us in our spiritual life. So B stands for books. And C, chanting. Right. So C stands for chanting. Because Bhakti Yoga can be performed in 9 ways. It can be performed in how many ways?
9 ways.
9 ways. Does anybody know what are the 9 ways?
By listening and remembering.
Yeah, those are some. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Mandanam, Padasevanam. Then?
Archanam, Mandanam,
Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So there are 9 ways one can perform Bhakti Yoga. But out of the 9 ways, so like for example, right? Shravanam, what does Shravanam mean? Listening, hearing. So like how Krishna says to Arjuna, hear from me now. So hearing is one way of performing devotional service. Do you know who perfected their life just by hearing? And perfected, came to the point of perfection in Bhakti Yoga by hearing.
Arjuna.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah. Parikshit Maharaj. The Bhagavatam, so Sukadeva Swami speaks and Parikshit Maharaj hears. Just by hearing, he actually came to the point of pure bhakti. So who is the example for Kirtana?
Narada.
Yeah, it's Sukadeva Goswami actually, who recites the whole Bhagavatam, so that's Kirtana, or chanting, the Hare Krishna mantra. Who's the example for Dasyam?
Hanuman.
Hanuman. He perfected his life by performing servitude to Lord Rama. Who's the example for Sakyam?
Lakshmana.
Arjuna. Arjuna was a friend with Sakyam. So like that, for each category of these, there are examples who perfected their lives in Bhakti Yoga by following one of the process. But out of the 9 in Kali Yuga, the most important process is Shravanam and Kirtanam. So who's the example for Smaranam or remembering? Who perfected their life by remembering the Lord?
Prahlada.
Prahlad. Prahlad Maharaj perfected his life by remembering. That's one of the 9 ways of devotional service. So but what is advised in this age is to actually focus on Shravanam and Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. So one of the ways, the chanting, one of the powerful ways. So chanting is one of the powerful ways and one of the 9 ways of bhakti, especially applicable in this age. And it gives us a direct connection with Krishna. So automatically when you go into the association of devotees, what happens? There is Kirtana. There is immediately some discussion about Krishna or his teachings or a chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. That's why, again, the key point is
Association.
I think you all heard it. Then everything else will follow automatically. Everything else will follow automatically. So C for chanting, D for? No, that's what we are trying to cultivate. D for?
Discussion.
Okay. We'll give you 2 points for that. More important, I think all those points are, I'm not saying they are wrong, but specifically, D here stands for diet, especially prasadam. one has to have at least a sattvic diet, if not better, transcendental diet, which is the food in a sattvic mode which is offered to the Supreme Lord, and then one partakes it. Like how in the temple, if you come, this prasad served. How it becomes prasad, the devotees cook with love and devotion, and then that is offered to the Supreme Lord, and then it is then offered back to all the devotees. The prasadam, don't underestimate the power of prasadam. It's the difference between food that is transcendental or spiritualized food. Because what we are doing is we are converting everything that is from from materialistic spirit to actually to spiritual energy. Everything can be converted back from the material energy to spiritual energy by by coming in contact with Krishna. So food also becomes spiritualized or surcharged with the spiritual energy when its comes in contact with Krishna. That's why we offer it to Krishna. And then it comes in contact with Krishna, that material elements, even though it's all only matter, the material elements only, but it becomes spiritualized just by coming in contact with Krishna. And then when devotees take it, they have a different effect. It's not from this world. I mean, even though it's made of material elements, but because of coming in contact with Krishna, it has a completely different effect. It's a day and night difference between spiritual food and the ordinary outside food, actually. I mean, in fact, you can see there is a big difference between home, mother. When mother cooks for you at home with love, and then there is a person who cooks for you at a restaurant. There is a difference, right? What is the difference? Feeling satisfaction. Because both the food will fill your belly, but only one food will enrich your heart. Same goes with the spiritual food. It will not only fill your belly, but it will also enrich your heart and it will enrich your brain also. Our dull brain. It will enrich our brain to understand about spiritual subject matters. So D for diet and E for elephant. Don't say elephant. That's what my daughter says. E for elephant. What does E stand for? E stand for engagement or seva. So, because we have this senses, we have the mind, we have this body, we can also engage in something very practical, like some service. So, for example, there are so many services available in the temple, like there is help in cooking, cleaning, washing the pots, cleaning the temple, and making garlands. So there are so many services available. One can actually practically engage in one service or the other for the Supreme Lord. This practical engagement will save one from material contamination. In fact, it's said that when you clean the temple of the Lord, then the Lord reciprocates by cleaning your mind and your heart of all the unwanted things that's there. So Krishna reciprocates when you demonstrate your sincerity by some practical service. So A stands for
Association.
right. That's the most important. B stands for
Books.
C stands for chanting. D stands for
Diet.
and E stands for engagement. Right. So you can revive the bhakti that is there within all our hearts just by following this process of A, B, C, D, and E. And Yeah, so I think that's the part I wanted to talk about. And so we will also send you the invitation for the December 6th on the WhatsApp. So please do come, because this event is for you to celebrate your, cooperation and spending your time here. To appreciate that, we want to actually organize this. So please do come. You're there on December 6th, right? No, you're not there.
Flying on the 5th.
Oh. But others, please do come. I mean, we will probably mail you or something like that. But it's important, and please become part of the community. Become part of and try to associate on a regular basis with the devotees. Any questions?
So, for example, in his case, he studies, right? How can he focus his study in a way that you have to study, right? How can you offer that to?
Right. I mean, Krishna says that karoshi dajnashi, yat juhoshi dadasya, yat tapasyasi kaunte, tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you give away, whatever you eat, whatever sacrifices you're performing, do it as an offering unto me. So it has to be thought like that.
Because I have to do it, I mean, I don't know. I just can't comprehend.
Well, it will come gradually. When we engage in chanting more and more, it will come gradually when we can do it as an offering to the divine. It is not. It's not something. I mean, one has to consider that one is acting on behalf of the Lord, and when one is in that mode, then Krishna will reciprocate.
Because our mind can take whatever, right? Like, oh, I'm doing this for. But mind wants to do it. That's why,
Yeah, I mean, in the sense, if you have a purpose. So like for example, we also practically demonstrate. Let's say you're working outside, and you give some money as a donation to the temple, right? Now that work, you can connect it as a devotional activity because you're contributing some of the fruits, for the Lord. Like that. So I'm actually, even though I'm working here in a company, but you can always be connected.
Correct.
That I'm doing this so that this so and so the Lord can get a new altar, so that that can be cultivated.
But that's not the only goal, right? I'm just not working because of God. I'm working for myself.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, to maintain myself and family, that is also instructed by Krishna only.
Yeah.
To take care of, that is also part of your own duty, to take care of oneself and one's family. So that is also Krishna's instruction only.
Yes.
So that is also following Krishna's instruction. Any other comments? So what is the one thing you're taking home?
So what I have started is from the time I got the 27 beats here, it has become my routine to do it once a week.
Wonderful. Let's give a round of wonderful. Excellent. Yeah,
So that I would say was the best part of the course, where once you have it. The other time I didn't have. Okay, I do some other chanting, but particularly
the Hare Krishna.
Mantra. The moment you see that, you pick it up and you avoid one immediately after taking bath.
Very nice. Any other comments? Okay, now I will hand it over to Swapnil, who will actually talk a few words about Srila Prabhupada, who translated all those books, gave us this knowledge, and how he did that. He'll give a brief biography and information about Srila Prabhupada.
also have some videos. So the videos will also talk a lot about Srila Prabhupada. Very beautiful videos.
Listen to it and follow along.
Usually in the temple, when there is some setup going on, we begin. We engage our time in a certain way. Can you guess what it might be?
Kirtan.
Yes, saying the Maha Mantra. Shall we also try that?
Sure.
Let's go ahead. Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, yeah. Okay. Isn't it wonderful? Using every moment in making spiritual advancement, spiritual progress. So thank you for your patient listening so far. So just like after there's an earthquake, there are usually small tremors. So similarly, after the powerful words of Sundaranand Prabhu, and now whatever my words is maybe like small tremors, but of course the topic is deep and divine, and it's transforming to the heart. So yes, we could begin. Anyone remembers this picture from our previous sessions?
So what does this indicate? What does this remind us of? Right, yeah. So there is a Paramatma who is the center in the spiritual world, and we are individual Atmas. And what analogy is given to come Atma and Paramatma? Hare Krishna. No. Hare Krishna. So Paramatma is the center in the spiritual world, and the whole purpose of our existence is serving Paramatma or Krishna, God, and in that we derive divine spiritual bliss, which is inexplicable. It's beyond our imagination. So now as we discussed last time, Paramatma has a unique connection with everyone, and he doesn't become overloaded. Oh, there are so many living entities to deal with. Anyone remembers? We discussed one verse from Bhagavat Gita in the previous session. And what was Krishna trying to say in that verse, as we discussed in the last session? We brought up 2 points that there are so many living entities who are emanating from Paramatma, and they have a loving relationship with Paramatma, with Krishna. And in that, even the Atmas, they derive unlimited spiritual bliss. In fact, it is said in loving Krishna, in loving reciprocations with Krishna, the Jivas, the Atma, they at times enjoy even more than Krishna. Isn't it amazing? Krishna, he has that ability. Paramatma being God, he has the ability to give even more enjoyment to tiny jivas, tiny living entities, atmas, who are actually his parts. So that's the amazing thing about spiritual world. So now, one question that comes up here. So in the spiritual world, Paramatma is the center. So do we not have love for anyone else? Is it just between us and Paramatma, and there's absolutely no love for anyone else? What do you think?
There is love, but again, it is not the pure love which is like Paramatma love, which is very different than every love will have some kind of contamination, I would say.
Okay,
It's a
yeah.
different form of love.
I see, yeah. Good points. But yeah, we are talking about now the spiritual world. Okay, spiritual world, the connection between 2 Atmas. Is there love or there is no love? It's spiritual world, not material world. There is?
Because Atma's nature is love.
Yes.
And then everybody is part of Paramatma.
Right, yeah. And isn't it natural if Paramatma, Krishna, he loves everyone, every individual soul. So would he like it if 2 individual souls don't love each other? And of course, we are not talking about the mundane platform of a boy and a girl saying to each other, I love you. It's actually not real love. Of course, over the time, if say in a husband-wife relationship, with making sacrifices for each other over the years, maybe more and more selflessness develops toward each other. And if both husband and wife are engaged in Krishna consciousness or spirituality, trying to encourage each other in their progress toward the Lord, then it does tend toward pure love, as if it's the love of the spiritual world. But yet, the love that is in the spiritual world cannot at all be compared with whatever we know of love on this material realm. As Rajiv Prabhu pointed out, there is some or the other contamination on this material plane. So, but on the spiritual platform, there is love between even two Atmas. But of course, the center always remains Paramatma, Krishna. God always remains the center of all loving exchanges with each other, and everyone is drowning in an ocean of divine spiritual bliss in the spiritual world. So now, as you gave a beautiful answer to this question, that there has to be love. Just if Krishna loves someone and I have to love Krishna, then naturally, we can say by extrapolation, anything or anyone that Krishna loves, if I don't love that, then what does it mean? My love for Krishna, is it complete or incomplete?
Not good.
It's incomplete, yes. So therefore, there is love even amongst Atmas in the spiritual world. And so this example is usually given. So if we are saying we love God, but at the same time we offend His children. So an example is given. Someone comes to a parent and speaks very sweet words, very nicely. Ultimately, there is some intention to get a favor from that person. But then later on, that same person who is coming to a parent to get some favor, later on that person mistreats that parent's child. What do you think? Will the parent be happy, or will all those sweet words spoken before, will they matter much? What do you think? Yes. So similarly, in all spiritual traditions, in fact, even beyond our own culture, the practice of Krishna consciousness, beyond Bhagavat Gita, even in Christianity, if you see, these principles are there. At least we hear of this principle, Jesus Christ telling His followers, if you are coming to make an offering at the altar to God, and you have had a fight with someone, with a fellow spiritual practitioner who is also trying to love God, first go and solve that. First go and reconcile the differences. Because until then, God is not going to get great pleasure from your offering. So we see this same principle in all spiritual traditions, in fact. So now, yes, having understood this point that there is love even between Atmas in the spiritual world. So now we come to this main point. So, besides our connection with Paramatma, we also have a connection with each other. Paramatma or Krishna is like our parent, and we are like siblings to each other. And in the spiritual realm, everyone is serving Krishna, Paramatma, with pure intentions and without any contamination. And those living entities who desire to take the position of God, who become envious of God. If you remember from the 6th session, what was it that brought us here? What is it that we desired, because of which we came here? Sorry? To become Paramatma, to take the position of God, to play God, to try to imitate God. And if we carefully see around in this world, we can see. Even though in words it may not be spoken, hey, I want to be God. But yet, one's actions, one's intentions, one's desires from within, what do they indicate on a careful observation? That one does want to be the center, to play God, to take the position of God. But in the spiritual world, everyone serves Krishna with pure love. So now those living entities who have come to this material realm, Krishna does care for them. So time and again, he himself descends into this world. And even more often than that, what does he do? Even more often than he himself descending, God himself descending into this world. Who descends? His devotees, his pure devotees, in the form of saints. If you see in India, in every region you go, there are historical evidences of some saints residing there. In Maharashtra there have been so many saints. In South India so many saints have been there. In North India there have been so many saints. Wherever you go. So the Lord does care even about those living entities who have come here. And now Krishna, it is his desire that through his pure devotees we understand him. So now, considering this principle, what do you think? If someone says, oh, ultimately we are meant to love God, love Krishna, love Paramatma, so it's just between me and him. I don't want anyone in middle. I won't learn anything from anyone. I will discover it all myself, and I will find out the true path, how to reach him. Do you think such a person may achieve the complete perfection, complete mercy of Paramatma?
It might, but take it a long time.
Very, very long time. But eventually he may have to accept the teachings that Krishna sends through his pure devotees. So, yes, that was a beautiful point. So now, therefore, Krishna, this principle of accepting a person who is more spiritually advanced than us, because it's like someone gave a beautiful example. Spiritual progress is something like walking through a dark tunnel. We are at one side of the dark tunnel, and the goal is to reach the other side. And it may be a very long dark tunnel. Okay, and naturally it's a difficult path to walk through that tunnel. And many have started walking that path, and most of us, we have just got into that tunnel, and it's all dark because the other side is very far away. So once we start walking a little into the tunnel, it's pitch dark inside. So now, what do you think happens usually in such a case? Go back. Nahi jana hai aage. I don't know if I will ever reach the end or not. I don't know if there is something out there on the other side. Let me go back. I don't want to take a risk. But what if there are those who have walked ahead of us and they have pretty much reached that destination, and they have begun to see a few rays of light from the other side, and they are telling us, encouraging us, come, we are seeing, we are experiencing this, please come, don't get discouraged, please walk the path. And if keeping faith in those personalities, great personalities who have come toward the end or who have already reached the destination, if by keeping faith in them we continue walking without getting discouraged, what do you think will happen? Eventually, yes. Success must come. So, this principle of accepting someone higher than us, accepting teachings, accepting lessons from someone who is more spiritually advanced than us, this principle in fact has been set by God himself, by Krishna himself. And how do we understand this? Did Krishna, or when Paramatma himself descends into this world in his various forms, as Lord Krishna, as Lord Ram, in a human form to set an example for the human society. Does he also accept a teacher? Who was the teacher of Krishna? Sorry? Mother Yashoda. She is mother, of course, as a mother. A mother is also a teacher, but Balram as a brother, definitely. But a teacher, a guru.
Was it Dronacharya?
No, Dronacharya was the teacher of Pandavas. Yes, Kushal. Sandipani Muni, yes. So, Krishna does go to Gurukul, to Sandipani Muni's ashram. And what does Sandipani Muni say? He recognizes this is none other than God. He's the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality. And yet he is coming to accept teachings from me. I am not qualified to teach him. Ultimately, all knowledge even comes from him. But yet, it's his desire. He wants to set an example. Therefore, he does it as a service. So, even Krishna accepted to show the human society that this principle of accepting someone who is genuine, of course, one has to have that faculty of discrimination, who is genuine and who will lead us on the right path toward perfection, toward pure love for God, and who is just pretending. Do we see people who may pretend to be highly spiritually advanced? Lot of them, isn't it? Just like any new idea someone gets in Silicon Valley, what is the next desire? What is the next step after that they try to take? Startup, yes.
Millions.
Earn millions. And in India, similarly, because India is a land of great piety and dharma, the land of dharma. So, someone gets a nice innovative idea, and this is a land of great piety and dharma. So, what do people do? Make a business out of even spirituality, religion. Dhonge Baba. Yes. So, of course, one has to discriminate who is genuine, who is not. But even though there may be 99% wrong examples, does that mean we reject everything? What about that 1% of genuine teachers who may exist? So Krishna, and even Lord Ram accepted a guru. Anyone knows the name? Vasishtha, yes. And Vishwamitra too, yes. And they too had that consciousness, oh, actually, he is the one from whom all knowledge comes. He is the origin of everything. Yet, it's his desire that we teach him. So they teach. So, this principle, even the Lord sets an example. So now, time and again, the Lord keeps sending his messengers, his pure devotees, who teach us this message, who travel all over the world. Or maybe some of these pure devotees, they may not travel, they may be located in one place, but the world comes to them. By the world we mean lots and lots of people come to them for deliverance. So now, Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, was one such great personality, a great messenger of the Lord. And we can see the effect. Personally, I can share from my experience. I did used to get doubts like, oh, maybe these people. I initially met ISKCON devotees during my engineering, and they were very nice, amazing, the best of people I had ever met. But yet I had some reservations, some doubts. Maybe they are being nice now, but casually later I may get to see some other motivations. Kuch to hidden agenda rahega. Some maybe they will ask for something, they will expect something. But no, time disproved me, and I was happy to have been disproved. So this itself testifies that the one whose teachings are being followed, what a man of great integrity, great pure devotion he must have been, Srila Prabhupada. So that itself testifies. So, Srila Prabhupada, out of his great compassion, he even left his personal, he was given an instruction. When he was young, around 26 years old, he just a uh, brief timeline about him, and then we will watch some nice videos which are amazing. They even so many people's testimonials are filled in it. How just interacting with this one man transformed their lives. Keeping a little faith in him, it transformed their lives. So, of course, some doubts may start coming in our mind. Is this some personality cult? Are we making some person, are we unnecessarily putting some person on top and glorifying him? We will see later some examples of how Srila Prabhupada was always very humble. His, his, his goal was that he never be brought to the front. Even the society he formed, what did he name it? International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Yes. He always emphasized Krishna is the goal. I recently heard something about him. Some of his disciples were glorifying him. That he was even asked when in the initial nascent years of ISKCON, when many temples were being formed, he was asked, Prabhupada, can we make quarters for you in especially Mayapur? Mayapur is the headquarters of ISKCON. It's in India, in West Bengal. So he was asked, can we construct quarters for you? He said, no, why do I need? But then his disciples, they gave a good reason that when, say, important people like politicians come to meet, it's better to accommodate them in a nice place and where they could speak to you. So these facilities are ultimately, it will ultimately help us reach out to people with the message of Krishna. Then, then he agreed, okay, but not for himself. And second, I was even more amazed about this. He was asked, can we write your story? Can we write your biography? He said, no, what's the need? It may deviate people from the main purpose of leading them to Krishna. So, but yet the disciples again, their appeal prevailed, and they gave this reason. If people know more about it, they will even be attracted. Oh, this is how even in modern times one can be such a pure devotee of Krishna. People will be more and more, through you, people will be more and more attracted toward Krishna. And then Prabhupada agreed. Okay, and so many devotees have written biographies about him. He's considered one of the most written about persons in the recent history. So, yes, so how did his life begin? He was born to a great family of pure devotees of Krishna in West Bengal. And from his childhood, he had great attraction for worshipping Krishna, and he also used to play mini Rath Yatra festivals at his home. And then he was always a very courageous personality, very a man of integrity. He would quite often whenever he would talk to his friends and say in debates, he would win most of the times, and he had natural leadership qualities, and everyone would respect him. So you were saying something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it true that whatever he did is on? was just done in 10 years, right? He came to the US.
12 years,
12
yes.
Okay, 10 to 12.
65 to 77.
Correct.
Yes.
So that clearly shows that he definitely had some blessings. He was a special person. Otherwise, it's not possible to.
And he was 70 there, I guess.
Yeah.
70 years old.
When he came here.
So many physical problems also.
But
Thank you for.
Yeah, but what is very critical is if you look at any organization to sustain, and now it is over 50 years, right? You really need to have a great thought leader, and I think he should be considered as one of the best thought leaders at that point of time. So it continued and it is growing.
Yes.
The society is growing.
Even after his departure.
Correct.
Yes. So such a deep and profound impact he has had in people's lives. Yeah, this is a beautiful point. And besides that, now someone may say, but yeah, there are many such leaders who can have a nice impact on people for many generations to come. But what's the speciality about him? He's not creating a material revolution. A revolution that will make bodily comforts. He's creating a spiritual revolution. He's creating people who are sincerely dedicated in achieving love for God, love for Krishna. And we will see more in videos. So, then Srila Prabhupada, when he was young, he was very enthusiastic. He participated in Gandhiji's movement. So when he was 26 years old, that was 1922, one of his friends, he took him to meet Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is also a pure devotee of Krishna, in a chain. So, as we were talking about this principle, about accepting a spiritual personality as a teacher, as a guru, and one who is a pure devotee, of course, not the pretender category of people. So, Srila Prabhupada, when he was young, one of his friends invited him. Hey, you should come and meet this personality, this great spiritual teacher, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He is a guru of thousands of disciples, and they are all dedicated devotees of Krishna. I'm sure you will be impressed meeting him. Then Prabhupada said, no, I have seen many of these sadhus. In childhood, my father would call many of them, feed them, and yeah, I wasn't at all impressed by them. Many of them, they would smoke bidis, ganjas. So I'm put off by all of this. That friend, he still insisted, but this man is different. He's special. You must meet him. Then, okay, somehow he gives him. And then Prabhupada, he goes and he meets Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So both these young men who come, they bow down to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, as soon as he sees Abhay Charan, that time his name was Abhay Charan. So as soon as he sees Abhay Charan, he says, you are an educated young man. You should take this message of Lord Krishna to the Western world and teach it to the entire world in the English language. So then Abhay Charan, he was surprised. He was taken aback. We have just met and you are giving me a big instruction. And then he gave reasons why this is not feasible. Oh, but Swamiji Maharaj, currently India is under British rule. It was 1922 that time. Prabhupada was born in 1896. So he told his guru, that time he wasn't his guru, of course, Swamiji, but India is under British rule. First we must get freedom. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati told him an amazing thing, that right now we are under British rule. Tomorrow, even if we get freedom, we will be under the whole society will be under the clutches of some selfishly motivated politicians. And isn't that true? What do we see now? India has got freedom long ago, since it has been more than 60 years now. What do we see? has that tendency of selfishly exploiting people, has it gone away? No. So he mentioned this correct thing, that there will always be exploitative people. So what India or anyone else, any living entity needs most urgently is not even some political freedom. Of course, that is also important. We strive for that. But there is something even more urgent than that. That is freedom from the clutches of materialism and this message of Lord Krishna, Krishna consciousness, love for God, which is what we are eternally seeking for. Life after life, we are looking for that experience of happiness. But because we are looking for it on the material plane, our time just keeps whiling away. Although there are so many clues kept, even on this material plane. But yet, one doesn't take to those clues and one doesn't ultimately find out what is the highest reality. So this message of Lord Krishna, that is the most urgent thing that people need. And then Abhay Charan, Prabhupada, later he was known as Prabhupada, he was convinced by it, and he used to tell his disciples later on in 70s when he came here, 60s rather, he would tell, my Guru, he defeated me in argument and I was happy to be defeated because he spoke the truth. It made sense to me. So, but Prabhupada was a married man, he had wife, children, and he continued with his family life. But that instruction given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, it kept burning within his heart. That fire, that enthusiasm, it was blazing day by day. And he kept that instruction active in his heart. And he did perform his family responsibilities. And when he was in his 50s, as per Vedic culture, he took Vanaprastha, which means one, at certain point of time, one leaves family. This instruction, this injunction of Vanaprastha, especially men do that. They, when the children are grown up, the children vow to take care of the mother, and the man especially, he leaves home and he goes to the forest, and later on, after that, he takes sannyas. So Srila Prabhupada also did that. Of course, going to the forest is not mandatory, but the main goal is spiritual purification and then sharing this message. Now, Srila Prabhupada, after he left home and then he finally took sannyas, he was always meditating on that instruction. He was living in Vrindavan, the place of Lord Krishna, every day intensely praying. Many temples in Vrindavan, Mayapur, I especially know the story about one particular pujari. He shared this story that I used to see one elderly man come here every day, chant for a few hours, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. While chanting, there would be tears gliding down his cheeks, and he would intensely pray and then go back. And then I didn't see him for 2-3 years. And after I saw him, 2-3 years later when I saw him, he was with some Americans and Europeans, young boys and girls who were coming chanting Hare Krishna, who had become devotees of Krishna. You know whose story we are talking about? Who this pujari is talking about? Srila Prabhupada, he was talking about. So yes, Prabhupada, after he took sannyas, he was living in Vrindavan, intensely praying. He started translating the Srimad Bhagavatam and also writing commentaries for it. And he practically had no help. He was also printing a magazine regularly called Back to Godhead. He started that in 1944, and since then it has continued. It is continuing even now. So he was doing all these things by himself, writing, proofreading, then going to some press, there were some well-wishers who were helping him. Oh, this Swamiji, he's so dedicated, he wants to preach the message of Lord Krishna to the world. So, there were some well-wishers who were helping. But practically, Prabhupada was doing everything by himself. And finally, he was trying to get passport and visa to come to the United States. For a Swami now, who will not come to do a job, who is coming to spread some message, naturally they won't give visa. Oh, they won't see a substantial reason for coming to this country. So, it was very difficult for him to get visa. But once he met one gentleman, some Agrawal, and he offered, oh, Swamiji, you want to preach and you want to go to the US? My son stays in the US, Gopal Agrawal. His son's name was Gopal. So he stays in the US. He could sponsor your visit, and I could speak to him. And Prabhupada, now that man, he just offered it. Sometimes we lightly offer something to someone, right? अरे ये आपका ही घर है, आ जाइए, कभी भी आ जाइए. But if someone really takes that, मेरा ही घर है ना, ठीक है, आ जाता. They may be taken aback, right? So similarly, this Mr. Agrawal, nice gentleman, it was a light offer. Okay, yeah, we could do something for it. But Prabhupada, he had that great fire of enthusiasm that he did not take it lightly. He later wrote back to Mr. Agrawal, yes, as you mentioned, your son is there. Please then request him to help me come to the US. Then, okay, yeah, Mr. Agrawal was very helpful. He didn't expect that he will hear back from him. But then he told his son, okay, please sponsor a visa for Swamiji, this A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. And then somehow Gopal Agrawal sponsored his visa. And now ticket, he has no money. Prabhupada had no money. So he knew one Gujarati, I think Gujarati maybe, I'm not very sure about that. There was a young lady she was like a daughter to him. She was from a Gujarati family, a devotee of Krishna, so she naturally had some sympathy for him. So, and they had a shipping business. They had their own boats which would transport cargo from India to other countries, and their boats would even come to the United States. So Prabhupada was repeatedly petitioning to her, please give me a ticket. She, out of her concern, Swamiji, you are an old man, what will you do there? It's so cold there, and you have no money practically. If you go there, you will die. I cannot do this. Please don't ask me to do something that will be harmful to you. I really cannot do this. She was rejecting repeatedly, out of her concern, of course. Maybe she had no idea that Srila Prabhupada is an empowered personality. So, finally, one day Prabhupada, literally he sat in her office for 8 hours, waited, kept repeatedly petitioning. She continued with her work, but she saw, oh, he was here in the morning, even now in the evening, at the end of the work day, he's still here. And then somehow she was moved, and reluctantly, okay, she allowed him, okay, you can go on this cargo ship. So she had a ship called Jaladuta. So she allowed him an entry on that. So then Prabhupada somehow came here. It was a 30-day journey, 30 or 38. So, and then finally he somehow landed here. And he went to Butler, Pennsylvania, to Gopal Agrawal's place initially. And Gopal Agrawal was married to an American lady who would also smoke, but Prabhupada tolerated. Even though she had all those habits, and later on Prabhupada so many, all those who came to him, all his disciples, they had so many bad habits, drinking, smoking, taking drugs, associating with multiple members of the opposite sex, and indulging in all kinds of such immoral activities. And after associating with Prabhupada, those who took to this process sincerely, gradually this must vanish. Everything that is inauspicious must vanish once one takes to Krishna consciousness. That is the power of this process. So, Prabhupada, but yet, while he was at Gopal Agrawal's place, he did not show intolerance toward his wife's name was Sally Agrawal. Sally. She was an American. So she would smoke. Prabhupada didn't show any intolerance. They had a small son. He would play with him, entertain him. And later on, this Sally Agrawal, when Prabhupada actually founded ISKCON and so many hundreds of temples, in her testimonial, she mentioned how was her experience staying with him. So yeah, she too mentions he was like a different person, not of this world. Whenever he laughed, his laughter was oceanic. And in his presence, everyone would feel some kind of a spiritual blessing coming to them. So then Prabhupada founded this movement, and he initially experienced so many difficulties. So, and this is something that touches the hearts of people when they read his story. How can one man single-handedly, before Prabhupada left this world, after 12 years, in 1965 he came, and in 1977, after 12 years, he left this world. He was 81 years old at that time. Yes, in those 12 short years, what were his accomplishments? 14 times he travelled all over the globe. He had 10,000 dedicated disciples, most of them Westerners, who sincerely took up to this path because they were not satisfied with what the Western countries were offering. Neither the materialism nor they did not even find any depth in whatever spiritual paths existed in the Western world. So, 10,000 dedicated disciples, around 108 temples all over the world, and more than 500 small centers where devotees would come together, practice Krishna consciousness. And yet, he wasn't at all proud. Prabhupada's mood was that I do not want cheap followers. One moon is better than 1,000 stars. When we look at clear night sky, who gives more light? All the stars together or one moon? Yes, one moon. One moon. So Prabhupada's, this was his mood always. One moon is better than 1,000 stars. So I do not want cheap followers. I want dedicated souls who will surrender their life to Krishna, who will become pure devotees of Krishna, who will perfect their lives. And even after all his success, he never took credit for himself. He gave credit to his own guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he even gave credit to his disciples. Once in one conversation, Prabhupada was speaking to his disciples. He was very in a humble mode that time. Sometimes he would even scold his disciples. And sometimes he was softer than even a mother. And often he was even much more strict than we may see here, the strictest of fathers in this world. So, once he was in a humble mode and he was expressing his gratitude to his disciples. He was saying, I'm an old man and I cannot do much, but all of you are working so hard, you are helping me follow the instruction of my guru to spread this message. thank you very much. And when he said thank you, he was in tears. And everyone was so moved by this. So he never took credit for himself. Although he single-handedly, he even trained his disciples how to dress. Many of them, they had gone on such wrong hedonistic paths, deviated from morality. He taught them even basic principles like how to take bath regularly and how to wear dhoti, kurta. He taught Western women uh, the importance of wearing sari, wearing clothes nicely, being well clothed and not showing off the body. All these principles he taught. And we will see in the videos so many Western women wearing saris and appearing like cultured women. So this is indeed something revolutionary. Quite often it is said much more important than to impress the audience is to inspire the audience. Better than impressing 1,000 people who will clap and they will applaud whatever you say. Better than that is inspire one person. Inspire one person to become dedicated and get connected with God, with Krishna. So that is what Prabhupada's mode was. So now, yes, so we will watch a couple of, these are all short videos. I'm sure you will like them.
In 1965, an elderly gentleman stood on the deck of a freighter in Boston Harbor and wrote this prayer.
Yeah.
How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or a failure, as you like. 12 years later, Hare Krishna was a household word. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada had been more than successful. He had founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, a worldwide confederation of over 100 ashrams, schools, temples, and farm communities. And he made the chanting of Hare Krishna familiar to millions of people. He had written and published over 80 volumes of translation and commentary on self-realization, which are now standard in universities and libraries around the world. And he had gathered about him thousands of dedicated disciples. Srila Prabhupada became known to the world as a scholar, philosopher, social critic, and spiritual leader. But to his disciples, Srila Prabhupada was dearmost friend, father, and inner guide. The importance of the spiritual master to his disciples cannot be overstated. It is said that only by the mercy of the spiritual master can one receive the benediction of Krishna. And without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any spiritual advancement. So the disciple's entire life focuses on the spiritual master and his instructions. In this relationship, the activities of the spiritual master are of monumental importance to his devotees. A disciple finds meaning even in the smallest gesture. Wherever he traveled, Srila Prabhupada would emerge daily into the chill and quiet of the early morning, and cloaked in a warm wrap, he would take a lengthy stroll with an entourage of students, disciples, and guests. Some mornings would find Srila Prabhupada immersed in contemplation or a quiet appreciation of natural scenery. At other times, Srila Prabhupada would speak at great length and often with considerable intensity on various subjects. During these animated discourses, Srila Prabhupada would turn the profound Vedic philosophy into a practical cutting edge that penetrated every sphere of life and thought. The word acharya means one who teaches by example, and the following unedited footage provides an intimate glimpse into the exemplary life of Srila Prabhupada. To most people, the daily activities of a spiritual master are a mystery, and it is interesting to see how such an important historical figure conducted his everyday affairs. What emerges is an endearing portrait of an authentic spiritual personality.
So, as we were discussing, it's more important to inspire than just to impress. And Srila Prabhupada, he will quickly go over these points, and there's another beautiful video to watch, which I'm sure you will like. So he touched so many people's lives, and they always remember him with gratitude. Even a few exchanges that they had with him, people have remembered throughout their lives. And he is one of the most written about personalities in history. There is one disciple of Prabhupada who
there is one disciple of Prabhupada who took up this task of writing his biography, and all devotees also agreed to it that he will take up this task. And he has written this biography. It's called Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit. Besides that, many other disciples have written books about him. There is a book called Swami in a Strange Land. There's a book called Chasing Rhinos with the Swami. Because Srila Prabhupada, he not just reached out to ordinary people, he even reached out to those who are at various leadership positions in this world. There's one famous musician who was greatly influenced by the teachings of Prabhupada. Not an Indian musician, he's a worldwide famous musician. Anyone knows his name?
George Harrison.
George Harrison, yes. George Harrison of the Beatles. He was highly inspired by Srila Prabhupada's teachings. He too later took up to Krishna consciousness. He has sung many songs chanting Hare Krishna. And before leaving this world, leaving his body, I think George Harrison left this world in 2002. His desire was to leave his body in Mayapur Dham, right? In India. Where did he? Yes, I think he left his body in Mayapur Dham. That's the headquarters of ISKCON. So many people he influenced. And recently, one of his disciple couple, they since the early times, they have been making movies about Prabhupada. They are the ones who have taken most of the pictures, shot most of the videos. So recently, they put so many years of efforts in making this movie. They made a movie on Srila Prabhupada, which was in theaters recently. The movie's name was Hare Krishna, the mantra, the movement, and the Swami who started it all. So it was a beautiful movie. Many of us from ISKCON Silicon Valley, it was on a Saturday. It was being screened in San Jose. We went together. It was completely packed, and we watched this movie. So let's see a trailer on this movie. This is, you remember who said this to Prabhupada?
The lady who was
Yeah.
owning the
Right.
ships.
Yes. Her name was Sumati Morarji. So this is her actual slip. Later on she was interviewed in her old age. So you can hear the voice of an old woman speaking. So,
Someone told you the story, you wouldn't believe it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. He's 70 years old, he has no money, he's starting an effort, and it turns into an international movement. Everyone is thinking, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm European, I'm Australian, and I'm not this boy. I'm a big soul. He looked like the Prime Minister of the galaxy.
Prabhupada was quite unlike any teacher we've ever known. There was no gap between what he spoke and what he lived.
The Vedic scriptures gave some sort of backbone to my life. Which one you left behind? Everywhere people went, there were Hare Krishnas. Many would consider members of the Hare Krishna sect to be dangerous religious fanatics, but the Krishnas say they're simply misunderstood. People would kidnap us and try to deprogram us. The more you got attacked, the more energized you became. I love the good fight. He's actually bringing some ray of light to all the right places. Regardless of race, religion, or nationality, we're all brothers and sisters. If I see this person, this soul, struggling just like I'm struggling in my body, I have a reason to love you. That's deep. His words carry so much power. It's a full expression of his heart. It comes through.
okay, so now we will end with this. Usually we do many things in this world. People start startups, they build up empires, and many people achieve success in life. And usually, what is the driving force? What do you think?
Money, fame, power.
Money, fame, power.
Yeah,
So many.
service also.
Yeah, maybe sometimes service could be the motive. What else? So, in one word, we could say ambition, personal ambition. Now, there's one anecdote told in this regard. So, once there was a young man who wanted to go to an ashram and he wanted to render some service there. So, he saw different devotees serving in that ashram. He saw someone washing the pots. He saw someone cleaning the temple floor. And in an ashram, in a temple where the Lord is worshipped, irrespective of one's dignity, whatever be one's designations, one's role in the society, one does services for the Lord out of one's love. So there was a young man who wanted to do some service, and he came to an ashram. He saw someone washing pots, someone sweeping the floor, mopping the floor, and he said, "Oh, washing the pots, but okay, I don't want to do that service. It's a physical service, and yeah, what is there in that? Then he saw someone wiping the floor. Oh, why should I wipe? Okay, maybe doesn't suit me. Then he saw one person who was sitting on a seat, and many were listening to him and even paying him respects. And he was giving a talk. He was basically the guru there, the teacher, spiritual teacher there. Then he said, that, I want to do that seva. So how would we characterize such a desire in someone? What word fits here? Yes, selfish or ambition. Ambition, मुझे भी वही बनना है. I want to become that. So yes, please start having prasad. So then now is Srila Prabhupada doing all this service to Krishna out of ambition? No, he is doing out of compassion, not out of ambition, not out of personal ambition. And there are a couple of small examples that show how he wasn't doing anything out of personal ambition. As we mentioned, any credit that came to him, he either gave it to his guru or he gave it to his disciples. And so it clearly shows he had no personal ambition. He was doing this purely as a service to Krishna, to connect living entities who have forgotten God, who have forgotten Paramatma, to connect them back to Him. And secondly, he did this, it was pure compassion. When he first landed at Boston Harbor, when he came by the boat, Jaladuta, he saw this country. It's materially it's much more advanced than India, and he was landing here for the first time. He saw big skyscraper buildings, he saw Ferrari cars, all types of advanced cars. I don't know if Ferrari existed that time, but just any name you can consider, whatever advanced cars existed that time in 1965. He saw all these cars, he saw men and women showing that they are happy, sometimes kissing each other. When he saw this, it melted his heart out of compassion. My dear Lord, they are living in such ignorance of you, in forgetfulness of you. It melted his heart in compassion. And he wrote a beautiful prayer on that ship. That was before he landed at the harbor. My dear Lord, somehow you have brought me here. I am not qualified. I am like a beggar in front of you. But since you have brought me here, I am sure you must have a plan. Please use me as a puppet in your hands. And please, if you wish, please make my words effective for these people to understand. And what happened after 12 years? He had so many people who were his followers, and naturally they became pure devotees of Krishna. Of course, pure devotees are higher term, but they became devotees of Krishna. All those who continued very sincerely, no doubt this path of Krishna consciousness leads to a short success. Okay,
Thank you so much.
for your patient listening, and hope you enjoyed this course. So while you have prasad, we also had a few small announcements, and you could also share your experiences, how you like this course, what you think you can take back and apply in your life. Please feel free to share your experiences. Maybe we could on a mic. But before that, we will just make a few quick announcements. As Sundar Prabhu mentioned in the beginning, on December 6th, we have certificate awarding ceremony in the temple. So please it's in the evening after working hours. Please do join. And as he mentioned, the temple president of ISKCON Silicon Valley, Vaisheshikam, he himself will be there. He will be handing out the certificates. We have some small gifts for you as well, so please do come. And it's at 6, but maybe he may take it a little before 6. We'll confirm the timing and let you know. Besides that, yes, we will have this EYS course. Will keep on at least twice a year. So the next time it will be offered is in around April 2018, right? Tarak is
Yeah, most likely.
yeah, most likely around that time we can get a book. Yeah. So please do feel free to invite friends if you have found this course transforming. You stop the video. If you have found this course transforming, please do share it. Share this message with others. Krishna says in the Gita that one who shares this message with others is very dear to me. Then we have flyers here which Kashmir will soon distribute. She was insisting that she wants to distribute. So, and yes, if someone would like to volunteer in conducting the course, like if you know some place where we can get a clubhouse without any charge, if you have your own clubhouse in your community and you would like to conduct, we would be happy to have it there as well. It would be in a different location. Others residing in that location could join us. And maybe we could have it even before April then. Then yes, if you would like to participate in the next offering of the course in any way, if you would like to volunteer, you are most welcome to join, and we will have great fun doing it together. Also, for those who haven't yet got a set of beads, please feel free to take today. I think most of you have it from the previous session. And in ISKCON Silicon Valley, we do mass Bhagavat Gita distribution here. Devotees, every weekend, devotees go out somewhere or the other. Many devotees go to San Francisco, many go to various other places in the Bay Area, like Indian stores, and distribute this transcendental literature, which has the potency to transform people's lives. And yeah, if you would like to join sometime, there's another program called Motel Gita, where devotees from here sponsor Bhagavad Gitas, and these Gitas are just like in motels, hotels and motels all over the US now. In most of the motels there are Bibles here. So devotees have taken up this initiative that even Bhagavad Gita should be there. And there are stories of how someone, I've heard a story, someone landed up in some hotel, and they were so frustrated, one such person, he was about to commit suicide. But he came across a copy of Bhagavad Gita. Something he read, it clicked him, and he did not go ahead with the plan. So yes, we don't know who ends up reading it and whose life gets transformed. So there are such programs. In any way, if someone would like to participate, this will definitely be a great opportunity to spread the message of the Lord.
We stayed in the Utah, in the library doesn't find the Bible in the Gita.
Oh, you found a Gita?
Owned by the Indian lady.
Right.
We were surprised.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
yes, usually many Indians, they are happy to. They just welcome. We want to keep Gita. Please go ahead. So,
Do you think having the Gita and the Bible the same location could be controversial?
not necessarily. Yeah, whatever one is inspired to read. And of course, we are not doing it in a mode of competing with someone. If someone is attracted,
No, not from a competition perspective, but at this point, you're giving someone a choice. Then, if I don't know, if you really want to get the message across, then you would rather just have the Gita, wouldn't you?
well, again, even
It's one of the ways.
Krishna himself never forces anyone.
They do it. That too.
Krishna himself never forces anyone. If someone, even through any other spiritual path, if someone makes some progress, that is also a step forward toward God.
I think it's a thought experiment in my head. It'd be interesting to see statistics as to who gets what.
So, yes, besides that, yeah, we have regular programs at the temple. We have temple card, which again Kashmir will pass on. And we have programs on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So feel free to join. And now comes the best part, interesting part. Everyone could speak something. Just a few words. Whoever is done with dinner could start first. We can pass on our mic.
Yeah. Yeah, you keep right.
So we also have flyers for the next device series. It's also called ATMA series. It's there's no exact date written, but if you would like to share it with some friend, please take some. Kashmir will pass on flyers. So what? Yeah. So the April 2018 that we spoke about, it's the same course, but we are also planning to have an extension of the course, which device 2. We are in the process of preparing it, and we'll let you know if once that is ready and when it can be offered. Yes. Yes, we would love to hear everyone's experiences, and thanks to all those who volunteered so much. This place, actually, it's difficult to get any place anywhere in the Bay Area. But this clubhouse, because our friends Tarang Prabhu and Khushi Mataji and their daughter Kashvi, they stay here. They stay right opposite. So they get this place for us. They book it. Although there are many others staying here, and quite often it's in demand, but they have worked so hard and they have been booking this place. Also, all the prasad that we have, it's prepared at their place. They have prepared it. Their friend Natwar, who is our friend too, he is also one of the main cooks. He is not here today. He has gone to India. So yeah, many thanks to all of them. So our friend Kushal has been helping so much with so many of these services. And So yes, it would be nice listening to each one of you. What you feel you can take back from this course and how you plan to apply it. If would anyone like to?
I'm Utsav. So I came here without like any expectations. I just wanted to know more about Bhagavat Gita, and definitely from the course of these lectures, I learned a lot of stuff about it, and I would like to continue learning more about it by reading Gita. So definitely one thing I'll do is I'll read it every day, and I'll gain more and more knowledge. And thank you so much to you and Sundar Prabhu and all of those who are involved in this for the food and everything. I'm really thankful to you guys. Thank you.
First of all, thanks to all the because of this example basically. Looking from the top, it feels like it's very easy, but if you go at the bottom, it takes time, so it's not an easy thing. But you can take it every day fast. So I really want to thank, especially to the Prabhuji and all the volunteers, that you cooked the very yummy food. So there has been a great knowledge section, smooth and really door opening for me. Like Srila Prabhupada said, this is just starting, so I will definitely continue from here. I always had this so many devotes, what are the karmas, what are the effects, and why the cool people have bad karmas, results.
Yeah, thank you.
So after this, I get some kind of clarity. At least I knew a little bit. And definitely, going deeper into this path will have and also I met so many good people here. So learning from them also was a great experience. So for me, every single person is a teacher here. I would say that. So it's been great learning experience. And I would definitely share the knowledge with others. So other friends definitely pass the message. You also then come to know.
It's a large session of
Yeah, I will be in touch with everyone.
Swapnil is announcing session 2. You have to.
Oh yes, yeah. There is an extra please invite.
Hare Krishna. My name is Sudesh. So I missed the early session, but I was following it on YouTube. And I've been here for the last 3 sessions. The thing I like the most is how interactive it has been. And how simple. Like there are not too many slides, a lot of interactive discussions. And they are simple. Remember a lot of different things which I will not easily forget. So I hope that I continue to be associated with these devotees and similar devotees in the future. And I look forward to the next session. Hare Krishna.
First of all, thank you everyone for spending your time and putting efforts for spreading this. We talk about continuing the same thing, but this is my second consecutive year. I'm not continuing, I'm just repeating same thing. And still, it's really every day, every session, even if you have attended previously, you learn something new. Most important thing I learned about this is even in your subconscious mind, you start to appreciate a lot of small things and be thankful for that to God. That's the main thing I learned. It's just in your subconscious mind. You don't have to think about it. It just comes naturally.
Hare Krishna, my name is Rajiv, and I was offered this course in 2017, sometime in March or April. That time, Taran Prabhu approached me, but I was in such a stressful situation because of my office and job and client. I just ignored it, and I'm sorry for that, Taran Prabhu. At least I made it this time, and now I know how much I had lost so many months of, Okay. So one thing is I feel extremely at peace when I come here and meet all of you. So that association is something what Sundar Prabhu mentioned. Makes a lot of sense. So satsanga. So to me this is satsanga every Friday instead of a glass of wine. Right? And the takeaway from this course, to me, there are two takeaways. One takeaway is the beats, which are now become part of my daily routine, as I already mentioned. And second is Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi, which I remember every day now. So nobody can escape that. And the last and most important thing, I didn't know that Krishna had such a cute and young devotee called Kashvi. Thank you.
Hi all, this is Vikash. I was not knowing about this course and Sumit and Surendra informed me about this course, so I joined and I'm glad I feel this has been very good course. I got to know so many things that I can't imagine I would have got to know from, I would have known, right? Maybe.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks all volunteers for amazing work. One thing I want to mention is that before next session I want to make sure I finish this Bhagavat Gita because I get the list and learn some stuff from that. Thank you all.
Hello, I'm Sandeep Kumar. So I was introduced to this course by Surendra. So before this course, I completed my master's in December 16. Since then I was looking for a job, so I didn't get the job for 7-8 months. So I was very frustrated. So I wanted some peace inside, So when I started here, so I started getting that peace and that mindfulness that you should be patient about some things. And during this course, I met Vikash, and Vikash referred me for the job, and I got the job. So association, of course. And along with that, I started reading Gita. So that is very good too. So I will continue reading it and gaining more knowledge. So I will definitely join the course when it starts. Thank you.
Kashvi wants to ask something.
Does everybody have discarded this paper or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, would you like to say something?
Hi, this is Surat. This is my first session. And this is who told me about this today and what I was in office. And to sum it up, for me it was the complete ABCD. I got the association, I got the book reading, I got the diet, and I got the chanting. I guess so just full circle. I guess Thanks
How about the?
Yeah, maybe next week I'll try to engage myself in some activities of course. Thanks for having me here.
Can't say much. Every time I come, I learn more. And thanks for everything.
This is the third time he has attended.
Yeah, I know, right? Now I get it. I'm so slow learner.
He even brought his brother Asa.
Hare Krishna. I came to know about this course from my friend Kushal Prabhu, and I deeply I want to thank all the volunteers, Taran Prabhu, Swapnil Prabhu, and Kushal Prabhu, for very tireless efforts to make this program to this, and also have learned to do the chanting regularly. That was my first takeaway and the association. I would also like to looking forward for the DYS2 course. Thank you very much.
So I would like to emphasize on the point of our Guru. So I started reading Bhagavat Gita myself, but I got it completely wrong. Until I joined this course, I got the real meaning of it. So it has to be grace of a Guru, otherwise it is, no matter how hard you can try, you cannot get it.
Hare Krishna. First of all, big thanks to Sundar Prabhu and Swapnil Prabhu and Kushal Prabhu for introducing me here, and Taran Prabhu and Mataji and network team for really serving us with yummy prasad every time. Really enjoy. Yeah, a lot of learnings. One of the big thing is taking everything as a family of Krishna. That is a wonderful experience. Just thinking about it. Instead of taking ourselves as my child, my parents, something like that. If you take Krishna devotee, that is a wonderful learning. A lot of things every session I see something is really inspiring, and yeah, you today as well. Yeah. Thanks a lot to all of you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Again, I want to say thanks like everybody else did. Thanks for making this possible. Thank you for providing prasad at every ending of this session. I've come from a very spiritual background. I'm very grateful to that. Just as a child growing up, my grandparents, they're very highly knowledgeable people. They've been preaching the Gita ever since I was a child. I would always, hear my grandpa, when he'd get up, he'd be like, Krishna or something. I've always heard that, but I've never personally got so much of knowledge and meaning until I had to do it for myself. My parents have raised me pretty spiritually, I would say, and religiously. But the takeaway for me was until I had to realize it for myself, I think that's what made all the difference. And now every time I talk to my grandparents, it's more meaningful and joyous. I can, I've been able to share my progress with them, and I think that those small things is what keeps me going. Hare Krishna.
I'm sure they must be appreciating you.
Yeah, they are very happy that I've been able to get on this path at a very young age. So it's Krishna's arrangement. So I don't know, most of you don't know, this is like Srila Prabhupada was saying, I won't be here for Wednesday. That's because I'm doing my undergraduate degree, and I moved here for an internship, and I'm from Canada. So I moved here to Mountain View, and I was a little bit skeptic because this is my first work experience, and being away in school with your peers is different, but when you're at a workplace, everyone's a lot older, everyone's got their lives figured out, you're starting to pay bills and all that, and I was a little bit skeptic, not knowing to do things right. I was afraid going out from home. So
I'm really grateful that the place I'm staying is very close to the temple. So I got association with devotees. I found out about the temple, and there I was recommended to this course. And there's been so many connections, I can't even tell you how many. So it's all been planned. Is what it is. It's all been planned, and I'm just walking that path. So I guess you just have to really trust the process and keep going along.
Akash Prabhu is going back to Canada this Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday I'm going back because I have to go back to school.
Yeah.
So
we all pray that he comes back after graduation.
Well, I have another work term. If I do decide to pursue another internship in the Bay Area, then I'll be back here. And then after that, once I graduate, maybe if I decide to come to the US for my master's or a full-time job.
And
whatever,
he has been coming to the temple every Sunday and doing a lot of engagement.
I'm grateful, yeah, definitely a lot of association. And actually, what Srila Prabhu said was very true about cleaning the temple. I've been helping with I'm lucky enough to be able to spend my time doing a lot of service. And it really, the way I look at it is, Krishna really works on you. When you are doing the service, he's working on my mind, he's working on my thoughts. I think thoughts is what's really important. So being able to just get rid of all that negative energy and negativity just in terms of thinking is helped me progress. So one thing I'd like to say, you guys are all very fortunate that you have ISD, because when I go to school in Ottawa, there's no ISKCON in Ottawa. Toronto has a huge one. It's world famous, known for how big it is. And even devotees from here, they know the significance because a lot of acharyas come out there. But in Ottawa, I'm going to miss this association, so you guys are very grateful. The prasadam, I was just telling Kushal Prabhu, it's very divine. It's just not how good it tastes, but how you feel after that. I'm going to miss the prasad. So
we should give a big hand to both of them. So you know Akash, right? Yeah. He and Kushi Mataji, they earn double the punya. They feed devotees, it is doubled.
Absolutely.
No, we feel so blessed, because I have done this course last time, and I know what I've gained. If I can do, no, that's fine.
No, please.
If I can do a little bit, of what Sundaranand Prabhu and Swapnil Prabhu is doing, you really feel, very much satisfied, right? I mean, it's not because of my benefit or something like that, but I know that somebody is going to get benefited from this.
No, whether you like it or not, your punya is done.
No, it's not always me and Taran, it's also Natwar Prabhu.
I know, Natwar Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah, they ever try Natwar Prabhu, Taran Prabhu and Kushima college.
So we just make a humble request to everyone. Kashvi is going to become a big sister. She herself says. Pray for and bless the newborn baby so that.
And I'm going to be, and my baby sister is going to come.
Alex.
So Akash Prabhu is going academic
Hi. I am the suspect guest here because I look at the profile. I don't mind it myself. So Bhagavat Gita entered my life or introduced itself to me when I was in the university, and I'm not in the university anymore, so I did a lot of other stuff since then. And here again, and my university was in Maryland, so I got introduced to Bhagavat Gita there, and I found it through my spiritual practices. I was already spiritual, and then I was getting insights, spiritual insights to do this, to do that, to do different kinds of things. And when I did them, small miracles would happen. So it was amazing. But one of those things was to go to the Bhagavat Gita club at the University of Maryland, and I did that. That kind of intuition still continues until today, and it's the same kind of intuition that actually brought me to the ATMA sessions. First at Google, when I was working at Google. I'm not working at Google anymore. So, but then whenever I come here, it's actually the result of my intuition telling me, go there. There is something for you. Sometimes I realize what it is afterwards. Sometimes I don't, but it doesn't matter because my intuition is pretty good. I mean, the results of that intuition is pretty good. So I have I'm exposed to multiple perspectives, spiritual perspectives, and that is very useful in terms of realizing that the principles are pretty much the same. They are just different in different they are encoded differently in different contexts. In that sense, I also have like an interfaith experience, interfaith experience. And Bhagavad Gita is definitely a perspective that I've been following. So I've read some chapters from Bhagavad Gita as well, and I can sense the principles there overlapping with some other, the principles somewhere else that I read. And the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, I sometimes use it, and that is also because of my intuition telling me to use it. There is a time that is perfect for a situation. So my name is Alex. If you have any questions, let me know. But happy to be here with you.
Yeah, initially I was never interested in Bhagavat Gita, and thanks to Swapnil Prabhu and Sundar Prabhu for holding the session, and obviously thanks for a great Satvik meal. Thanks to Khushi Mataji, Tarun Prabhu, and obviously little Kashi.
Thank you.
We had a great time.
Thank you for coming. How are you going?
How are you living?
We will be losing your
Okay, thank you for coming. Please come on Wednesday. Sunday, Wednesday we are. See you on Sunday also. Come on Sunday. Please come. उनको भी आपके वाइफ को भी लेके आइए.
Last time I
Okay, मुझे
mostly नहीं आई.
ओके ठीक है. चलो मिलते हैं फिर संडे
I came No, I came this year, I believe it. Sundar Prabhu gave lecture. This is the last Saturday, Sunday. On Wednesday, but serious power? No, I think it's on Wednesday. I attended it.
I was not there. Last Wednesday was Bhagavat Gita Jayanti.
I realized you are
Last Wednesday was Ekadashi and last Wednesday was the Bhagavat Gita Jayanti.
That is completely.
Yeah. So 5 to 8, full Bhagavat Gita was recited. I was thinking of you.
So is that recorded?
Yeah, that is there. It was recorded, yeah. But still, I mean, on the same day when Bhagavad Gita is sitting in the same place reciting
I
the whole
really
Bhagavad
missed
Gita.
that. I like you generally like people on WhatsApp.
I wanted to,
but unfortunately missed that.
This was very early, right? 5 o'clock. I just came directly from office. I mean, we didn't put it on the other this group. Atma, we put it on the Bhakti Sangha group. You are not in Bhakti Sangha. That is, I can add it there. So because there are devotees who come regularly to the temple, a group that is Bhakti Sangha. So one who has become familiar with the temple. Yeah, I will add you there. Then you will get mostly all the updates. I can do that right away. No.
By the way, sorry, we are yet to hear from one of our friends, Aditya. You can share.
This is a group to share in case.
Hey everyone, my name is Aditya, and I would first like to thank the entire DYS team. They've been putting their great efforts to it. It's been a great session. I guess the biggest thing I learned from it is now I get that encouragement to read Bhagavat Gita on my own. So that's one really good thing I would like to say. Yeah, and I hope to join the future DYS as well.
Besides this,
Aditya even brought his sister
so
to the course. We have been friends from masters.
We left with
I am really happy to attend this for the second time. Although the topics of the different sessions were the same, but it is always nice to refresh this knowledge because it always gets covered. I think that's what Sundaranand Prabhu was telling in the session today, that the default mode is to go against. The default mode is to go into the material world again and again. So it's always good to refresh these concepts. So I look forward to attending many more DYS. I can do that again and again throughout my life. I think Bhagavad Gita is always, it will have something new for me. So thank you so much to Swapnil Prabhu and Sundaranand Prabhu, Network Prabhu, Karan Prabhu and Khushi Mataji and Kashmir for organizing this. Thank you for allowing me to become a part of it.